Don't forget, guys, like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching. It helps me out massively. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Yeah, morning, good evening, or good night, depending on what time you're watching this. It's Nathan here, and it's time for the news video. What is up, Self Squad? How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome. Okay, guys, I am here to talk about Mining Mayhem. I'm going to tell you what sort of things I look out for, what sort of things you probably want to try and consider, and what might benefit you ever so slightly. Now, first thing I do, obviously, is I get a head count. I make sure that I do a little announcement, get people to react to the post in, let's say, Discord, get to know how many people I've got who are definitely going to participate, because then from that position I can now make the teams. So I know who's going to definitely be there. I know how many I can split on each team, and make sure that you're not going, I need 2 more people over here. Can 2 people move over? Because then everyone's already inside the building like, I don't want to move over. I don't know if I should move over. Shall I? Shan't I? And it ends up wasting so much time. So it's better just to have the teams going. So on day 1, when killing that boss, people are always unwary on what they should be doing. Now, if there's a massive gap between your rally leaders and your joiners, then maybe get the rally leaders to set some 30-second rallies, join those with whatever you can get into them. Now, obviously, you've got 2 marches which should be behemoth marches, just to get all the behemoth stats, skills, and strength in them. So do your 2 behemoth marches, but your other 4 marches, try and send in trap formation, because hunters actually do more damage than the infantry do. So sending a 5, 15, 80 formation is so much better than sending, let's say, a 33, 33, 33. So try and do 4 trap formations, 2 behemoth marches. Get the behemoth marches into the rally leaders. Try and get those rallies to do a boatload of damage. Now, obviously, if there's not much gap between them, then all of you can solo. But as I said, trap formation does do better. Sadly, you can't send your behemoth with a trap formation. So that's on day 1. Try and get as much people participate, because if you can get to the buildings before your enemies, then obviously you're going to have time advantage, which will obviously help you massively. Next thing you should do is you should always look up who your enemies are. So check which ones are the strongest, which ones are the weakest. So obviously I checked all my teams on who we're going to be going up against, and I end up deciding anyone who was above 27 million on this power would join this team. Yeah? Because one of the opponents was a hell of a lot stronger than the other opponent. Now, if you do have one significantly strong rally lead, when the 2 level 3s open up, just get him to join the other person's rally. They'll get the level 200 behemoth or whatnot. Or just quickly try and speed it in before they arrive. Or you could even just quickly pop over, set a rally, go back. Try not to do that too much, because then it will really affect your time. Now, obviously, this is how I set up, because there was a mammoth in our team. We made sure all the big behemoths were on one specific team to be able to combat that person. Then we got the second march of the strong rally lead to go defend the other place. Taking his stats, obviously made it where they could defend the whole entire time, get the whole 20 minutes. Now, obviously, this is another strategy which we do on day 2. When we took the 2 level 2s, what we did was we told the 2 strongest rally leads to go to either side of the map. Now, their job was to try and hold down their position for the whole 20 minutes. If they could hold it down for the whole 20 minutes, there was still 10 minutes remaining on the level 3s. And then we could actually push through to the level 3s. Now, this is only if you think you can dominate the board. If you can't dominate the board, don't make enemies on both sides. Take one side. Get the strong one to go back, and maybe get the strongest one who's taking the level 2 to send the second march over there. Or you can even have the strongest one in center if you think their strongest player is going for center. Obviously, you all have to think about this. But one thing which you should remember is that you can disconnect your opponents. So let's take this one, for instance. You've got Leonico, who could go there, but let's say you've got green and you've got brown, who both have a very strong rally lead. Now, you believe that green is the stronger ones and they're going to cause you more of a trouble. But brown will probably be double rallying the green ones out of center. So you know that center fight's going to last the whole entire fight. Now, try and consider this. If you push the pink ones back, and then you put your rally lead on that green and just hold this building for the full 30 minutes. If you think you can do that while they're fighting for center, these ones will either have to back off center and give them center, or they will have to give you this. Now, the rule is if they disconnect from what they're fighting from, then they will lose their time. Meaning if you took this before that was taken, then this team will disconnect from that and can no longer fight for it. Now, this only applies if they do not already hold the building. So, if you took this off them before they control that, because they do not control this already, then they will disconnect from it, and then that team would win it. Meaning, this team would drop a lot of points. Then you won't need to focus these so much on day 3. That's one advantage which you can do. Another thing is you could just fight for center, but if you fight for center and they end up going around flanking you and that team goes across for your R3 or something, it could put you into a sticky situation. So this is a little flanking technique which I like to do. I do this quite often. Now, one thing which I do want to say is, as I said, if you do not already control it, so let's say you was here and you took their R2. They would still have that one because they already had it the day before. Just because you may have disconnected them from here to here, but because they had this the day before, that will be one of their spots. So they can now fight for any connected part of that. Unless they lose that, they will still be able to fight for all the others. So taking this one will not disconnect them from this one because they already control this. If they were fighting for the R2 over there and you took this, because they didn't already control the R2, then they would disconnect from the R2. So this is a really good strategy to try and use in your advantage. I've used it so many times where, let's say, you're up here, you're up the top where Leonico is. They go to the R3. What I would do, personally, is I would just go for their R2. The R2 takes 20 minutes to control. The R3 takes 30 minutes. If you take that 20-minute top right-hand corner, they'll disconnect from your R3, and then you've just got the R3 on your own. Their time will be reset. So it's always a good idea to try and flank them if possible. If they've got the stronger rally lead and you can't beat them at the R3, just go to the R2, take it for the 20 minutes before they take that for the 30 minutes, and bam, they're disconnected and they lose. So many people do not combat that. Now, another thing you're going to be wanting to consider is obviously what buildings you're going to be wanting for this. So, of course, when it comes to Mining Mayhem, there's certain buildings which you want to focus on. Now, my personal favorite ones when it comes to combat ones is I'll go morale twice, so morale, then I'll go health, then I'll go lethality, then I'll go defense, and then I'll go attack. That is how I personally choose my skills. So morale, health, lethality, defense, attack. They're the 5 combat ones on how I would progress through them. When it comes to the other ones, obviously, as you know, there's only 4 of them. I go for the healing, then I go for the speed, because I think with the apes especially, it's very important to try and get your second ape into a second fight. So, especially if you've got a really strong ape. So, I go for that, then I go for the speed, and then I go for construction, then I go for stamina. I don't really care at all about the stamina part. If you're really wanting to win, you'll waste it just like you'll waste your bio speeding across the map. Now, my personal idea when it comes to final day is I try to have my 4 rally leads in certain positions. So I've got my 2 main rally leads over here. Now I'll have my 2 backup rally leads there. Now there's a reason why I do it in this specific order. So you get all the big behemoths around your big rally leads, then you have the smaller behemoths around your second rally leads. Now that's because when the rally lead is rallying, the big behemoths need to go into it. So you make them close to it. When the small rally leads, you just have the small behemoths. They're just supposed to be like a little buffer, do a little bit of extra damage. So this is the way which I set it up. Then you'll have one of the rally leads rally with one of the smaller rally leads, and then you can do it vice versa with a second person if need be. Especially if you're needing to ghost rally or whatnot, you can use the second ones and you're not trying to really get all the people in one location, because you've got these ones focusing here, then one's focusing there. That's how I do my finals. So this is a couple of little things which you may want to consider. One thing which I always do is I work out my points throughout the fight. No matter how far I am through the fight, I will look at how many buildings I control and how many points I will earn on day 2. And then I will work out what they will need to be able to beat me, or what I need to beat them. If they're beating me on day 2, then obviously day 3, you're wanting to focus the ones which are beating you. Don't worry about the other teams as much as you normally would, because even if they take 3,200 off you, if you take 3,200 off them, that means that you're staying the same and they're losing the points. The ones which are beating you are losing the points. The ones which are losing against you are gaining points off of you. But you want to try and consider stuff like this, because obviously by the end of the fight, all you care about is having the most amount of points. So that's how I build my buildings. Obviously, that's how I sort out my ideas. Now, one thing, don't forget, you don't need a strong rally lead. In this picture, on this one, I only had a weak, but I had quite weak stats down here. But my plan was, if I got into that building first with 2 others, we just sped in. Once we controlled it, we got a second march in there. Now, that second march, that we knew that team could not knock out. So as long as we had a solid team which was in that location, then they wouldn't. This is how I sort of pick out my teams. I try and make sure that there is enough people to be able to just rain it. As long as you can keep raining it, if you're strong enough, then you can hold them off. If you're not strong enough, then you're going to have to try and get some sneaky ways on trying to go around them, or obviously doubling or whatnot. But obviously, the best part about this is planning. Make sure you've got the correct skills. Morale is very important. Make sure you've got the buffs going, the Mining Mayhem buffs. And if needed, then obviously pick the behemoth sizes in certain teams to try and push that one ever so slightly more. Even the stronger teams will quite often struggle to fight a weaker team if they've got the bigger behemoths, because they're probably needing to use them for another team to fight against. Okay, guys. If you do have any more questions, then please let me know about this. Hopefully this answered a lot of the questions which you were considering and what you was thinking. I know one of the most common ones is what sort of march to march on the first day. Hopefully this helped you all. Thank you all for watching. Much love to you all. And guess what? I shall see you guys next time. Have a good night, guys. And peace. Yeah.